Transformers isn't just about cool robots flipping into cars and trucks. Okay, it is a bit about those cool robots doing all those amazing things, but more importantly, it's a universe where Autobots and Decepticons, aka the good guys and the bad guys, are always at each other's throats and usually grab all the headlines. But as Optimus would say, there's more than meets the eye. Tucked away in the shadows are some serious troublemakers who don't fit the Decepticon mold. It's not just about Cybertronian metal and might. Sometimes, the biggest threats come from other aliens or even us humans. In this video, we will meet 12 of these off-the-beaten-path villains in the Transformers world. And these guys can get as nasty as the Decepticons, and sometimes nastier. Each one's got their own style of causing chaos, and the conflict goes way beyond the usual Autobot-Decepticon rivalry. Let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Quintessons. In the Transformers universe, especially in the Generation 1 continuity, the Quintessons are kind of the big guns. The Quintessons, the five-faced alien muck of the galaxy, used to call the massive factory planet Cybertron their home. They were inclined to create life, first creating the Transorganics, highly ill-fit beasts, and eventually the Autobots and Decepticons. The Autobots were designed for grunt work, while the Decepticons were built for warfare. Not the kindest creators, the Quintessons' brutal treatment led to a massive rebellion kicked off by Autobot A3. After being kicked off Cybertron, the Quintessons made Quintessa their new base, holding on to a grudge against all Transformers for eons. They didn't just sulk though. They got busy, peddling tech across the galaxy, stirring up trouble to boost sales. Moving to 2005, these guys got even nastier, capturing folks for sham trials where the unlucky ones got fed to Sharkticons, guilty or not. But the Dinobots, especially their leader Grimlock, threw a wrench in their plans, inspiring a Sharkticon rebellion. In the years following Unicron's downfall, they kidnapped Autobots and even Spike Witwicky. Rodimus and the Aerobots mounted a rescue, leading the Quintessons to try blowing up their own planet, Quintessa, in retaliation. They failed, so they tried baiting the Decepticons with Energon, the juice for their nourishment, to attack Autobot refugees on planet Goo. Not ones to give up, the Quintessons kept scheming, from abducting Transformers and humans for experiments to trying to trap Autobots with a resurrected Optimus Prime and a supernova. They even tried rewriting history with a time window to change Cybertron's past and undo losing it, but that was also a failure. Each plot, from dream manipulation to unleashing the Transorganics, ended in failure, with Autobots foiling them at every turn. In a final twist, the Quintessons suggested that Galvatron take a trip to Torculon, a galactic mental health planet, hoping he'd meet his end. But they were outsmarted by Dirk Manus, a rogue, and they lost out on the Recreator tech. In the end, even when the Quintessons hid from the galaxy's far reaches, Skylynx found one to help restore Optimus Prime. This lone Quintesson played a key role in reviving Optimus Prime and curing the hate plague. The Quintessons are known for their constant scheming, but they seldom come out victorious. The Quintessons might not be the most riveting villains on screen, but they've got their own flair in wreaking havoc and have this unique vibe with their revolving heads, making them pretty unforgettable. However, the surprising revelation was that they were originally pitched as the creators of the Transformers. But the whole Quintessons as creators angle fell off the track. The storyline evolved, and Primus took over the spotlight as the creator. Still, back in the day, having the Quintessons as the jaded creators brought some unique drama to the table. Sentinel Prime. Sentinel Prime was a veteran from when Cybertron was the star of the galaxy and was the last Prime standing. He was the epitome of what you'd want in a leader: wise, kind-hearted, and could throw down in a fight. He was so revered that both Autobots and Decepticons wouldn't dream of crossing him or his shield Primax blade. Now, Sentinel was a staunch patriot and loved his home planet Cybertron to bits, but the endless war was wearing him down, so he decided to run wild. He secretly teamed up with Megatron, the viciously powerful and brutal leader of the Decepticons. Sentinel's brainchild was a teleportation space bridge tech to ship resources across space. But knowing Optimus Prime wouldn't be on board with his drastic plans, he kept it under wraps, claiming the bridge was for troop transport. The plan was to head to Earth and link up with Megatron, but mid-battle, his ship, the Ark, got wrecked and was lost in space. Fast forward to 1961, and the Ark crashed on Earth's moon. The Apollo 11 mission was actually a sneak peek at the Ark, but the Decepticons, led by Soundwave, already swiped most of the bridge pillars from the Ark before NASA could get their hands on them. In the present day, after a scuffle in Chernobyl, Optimus and his crew found out about the Ark. They jetted off to the moon, found Sentinel's body, brought him back to Earth, and revived him with the Matrix of Leadership. Sentinel was a bit loony at first, but later gathered himself and filled in the Autobots and the humans about the space bridge. He also turned down Optimus's offer to take back the Matrix. But Sam Witwicky, Autobots' human bud, figured the Decepticons were after Sentinel, who could kickstart the space bridge tech. Sentinel showed his true colors, offed Ironhide, Autobots' resident weapons specialist, and tore up Nest headquarters to snatch the pillars. He then summoned Decepticon reinforcements through a space bridge at the Lincoln Memorial. Optimus tried taking him down, but Sentinel was having none of it, which led to a face-off where Sentinel eventually spared Optimus. Sentinel conned the United Nations into exiling the Autobots, claiming they would grab Earth's resources peacefully and leave. The humans agreed, but Starscream wrecked the Autobots' escape shuttle. With the Autobots thought to be gone, the Decepticons started their takeover in Chicago, setting up the pillars for the space bridge. As the space bridge activated, bringing Cybertron to Earth, the Autobots, who faked their deaths, stormed Chicago to stop him. Optimus blasted the control pillar, shutting down the bridge, and Sentinel faced him again. As Sentinel was about to finish Optimus, Megatron, stirred up by Sam's girlfriend Carly, jumped in, fearing Sentinel's power grab. The Autobots wrecked the control pillar, nixing the space bridge and seemingly Cybertron with it. Sentinel then attempted to justify his actions and pleaded for mercy, but Optimus remained unconvinced and accused him of betraying his own ideals. Optimus then delivered the final blow to Sentinel Prime. The Headmaster. Henry Masterson, aka the Headmaster, was a classic geek, heavy into video games and a bit blurred on reality versus fiction, spouting internet slang like noobs and total ownage. Growing up, Henry was all about tinkering with some Deck Systems robots, and pretty soon he landed a job there as an engineer. His big moment came when he got to show off his Headmaster project to Isaac Sumdac. Think a futuristic Bill Gates. The Headmaster was a human-driven battlesuit that could swap the heads of robots. But the demo fell flat as the suit was too heavy, causing chaos, nearly wrecking Detroit, and even getting Henry fired. Not one to take defeat lying down, Henry swiped his Headmaster suit and plotted his comeback. He now needed a robust robot for his Headmaster unit and found the perfect target, Bulkhead, a big, brawny Autobot. He ambushed and decapitated Bulkhead and went on a destructive spree in Detroit. Masterson, now calling himself the Headmaster, hijacked the local TV broadcasts, demanding $700 billion as ransom for Sumdac, who threatened to blow up Michigan with a solar fusion reactor. Sumdac showed up with the money, but it was all a ploy. The Headmaster planned to destroy Detroit regardless. Inside the money trailer, though, was Bulkhead's head, and the other Autobots were battle-ready. A mega battle ensued, and the Headmaster was about to chop Optimus Prime's head off when Bulkhead intervened. Prowl took down Masterson, but he escaped, only to be grounded by Bulkhead again. Later, Porter C. Powell took over Sumdac Systems and rehired Masterson to cash in on the arms market. Powell set him on a new Headmaster project, and even gave him some smaller bots to upgrade. But Henry's ambitions were bigger, and thus he went after Sentinel Prime's body for an upgrade. Optimus tracked him down, defeated Sentinel's possessed body, and almost got Masterson to justice. But Powell successfully wriggled out Henry from the legal trouble. When Isaac Sumdac returned, he fired both Powell and Masterson. Undeterred, Henry found the body of Starscream, a member of the Decepticons, in a mine and took control. After a scuffle with the Autobots, he tried to ambush the Sumdax at a dinner but was interrupted by Optimus. Optimus tricked Masterson into transforming, causing his Headmaster unit to malfunction and eject. Starscream's body crashed into a river, and Masterson ended up in the hands of the police. The Headmaster, for all his cringeworthy lines, stands out as one of Transformers Animated's most over-the-top villains. He loved using his tech to hijack Transformer bodies. Though often thwarted by Autobots, he was a persistent human adversary who consistently went head-to-head with Detroit's metal heroes. Cobra. Transformers and G.I. Joe were the kings of kids' media back in the 80s. They started as Hasbro action figures and then became the Saturday morning cartoons everyone loved, but they were always separate. However, in the comics, starting with 1986's G.I. Joe and the Transformers, we saw a medley of history's top warriors joining forces. G.I. Joe, America's daring, highly trained special mission force, teamed up with the Autobots to take on the Decepticons and the world domination-hungry and ruthless terrorist organization Cobra, which was led by the notorious Cobra Commander and sometimes by Serpentor. The crossovers kept rolling after that initial comic, with different stories bringing the two worlds together. In 2004, G.I. Joe vs. the Transformers, launched by Devil's Due Publishing, showcased Cobra using Autobot and Decepticon tech. The crossovers even dabbled in time travel, and more Cybertronians joined the fray. Moving forward, in Transformers Rise of the Beasts, we finally see this crossover hit the big screen. The event was set in 1994, and the movie featured a face-off between Unicron's stooges and the Autobots, who had been stuck on Earth since Bumblebee in 2018. Two humans, Noah Diaz and Elena, teamed up to help the Autobots on a quest for the Transwarp Key. Noah is a fresh face for Rise of the Beasts, but his battlesuit has deep roots in the Transformers history, a callback to a G.I. Joe project from the Marvel Comics series. It certainly looks like Rise of the Beasts is setting Noah up as the link between Transformers and G.I. Joe, finally bringing these two iconic universes together in the film world. The Vok. The Vok from the 1996 Beast Wars series are the ultimate enigma of the Transformers universe. These energy-based aliens were very advanced compared to the Transformers technologically. They used Earth as their experimental playground, running boisterous experiments and messing with life's evolution. But their plans got derailed because of Beast Wars, a monumental clash between Optimus Primal's Maximals and Megatron's Predacons on prehistoric Earth. It began as a turf war and a scrap for Energon, the juice on which they ran, but soon threatened time and space itself, also messing the Vok's experiments. The Vok had left Earth with raw Energon crystals and even a fake moon. When the Transformers stumbled upon one of the Vok's sites, they accidentally alerted the Vok's home base, Nebula, Nexus Zero, tipping them off about the interference. The Transformers ran into more of Vok's techs, from a probe to a trap-laden floating island and even a golden disc, which was kind of like a galactic beacon for the Vok. In the Season 1 finale, Other Voices, the Vok showed up on Earth, morphing into a spooky Unicron, also known as the Lord of Chaos, to talk to Optimus Primal. They were peeved that the Transformers wrecked their experiment and planned to cleanse the slate with a heat ray from their artificial moon. Although Primal successfully destroyed their moon, causing a wave of alien energy that turned some Transformers into transmetals. The Vok made another play in Season 2's Other Visits, where they tried and failed to wipe out the Transformers with a biomech fortress. Later, Megatron dabbled with Vok tech to create more transmetal. The Vok returned in Other Victories, trying to fix the timeline that Megatron was messing with by merging the Maximals Tigatron and Airraiser into Tigerhawk. But their plan misfired, and both the Vok and Tarantulas, a Predacon scientist, ended up getting destroyed. Despite being all-knowing and powerful, whether they are from the future, the past, or another dimension, they continue to be a puzzle that remains unsolved.
The perfect meld of man and machine. Exquisite.
Silas. Leyland Bishop, who is better known as Silas, and later Silas, was a major criminal in Transformers Prime. He was a former U.S. Army colonel turned into the cold leader of Mech, a terrorist group obsessed with Cybertronian tech and biology. Even before stumbling upon Transformers on Earth, Silas was all about gaining control over advanced weapons. He created this massive laser satellite, Project Damocles, that the Army eventually shut down, leading to his discharge. If it hadn't been confiscated, Silas would have used it for his own megalomaniac fantasies. Undeterred, Silas founded Mech, a terrorist organization, to chase his dream of a new world order powered by the most advanced tech he could get his hands on. He was ruthless and a bit delusional. His ambition knew no bounds, and he was willing to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. He saw Cybertronians as the ultimate life forms, and as a human, was green with envy. He wanted to create an army of Transformers under his command to bring about his vision of order. When his creation, Nemesis Prime, got wrecked by the Autobots, Silas ended up critically injured, but his mech crew saved him by merging him with the Decepticon Breakdown's corpse, turning him into Silas, a human Cybertronian hybrid. He killed his entire team, considering them unworthy of his new superior status. Thinking he'd fit in with the Decepticons, Silas tried to join them, but they were repulsed by his part-human form and what he did to Breakdown. Megatron even called him an abomination. When his last bargaining chip, Project Damocles, failed, Megatron handed him over to Knockout, the Decepticon medic, for endless experimentation. Despite his grand schemes, his arrogance and Megatron's betrayal led to his downfall. In a way, Silas's end was a sort of poetic justice. He got a taste of his own medicine, becoming a lab rat for the very beings he wanted to control. Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, aka Victor Von Doom, was an intense villain of the Marvel Universe, especially known for clashing with the Fantastic Four. He was a tough ruler of Latveria, a high-tech European country, and was dead set on expanding his reign, not just on Earth, but across the universe. He had grand plans to rule Earth and beyond, thinking it was the only way to save humanity. After an accident that left him scarred, he had been sporting an iron mask and armor, which was as much about his vanity as it was hiding his face. Doom was a genius, but he had a massive ego. He was not shy about eliminating anyone who got in his way, and genuinely believed that world domination was the way to protect the apocalyptic futures he had seen in his time travels. He was fearless, had a strong sense of honor, and craved godlike powers. He clashed with all sorts, from superheroes to cosmic entities, and was renowned as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic's nemesis and the Fantastic Four's archenemy. Interestingly, Marvel's first Transformers media had some crossover action, and Doom made an appearance again in the New Avengers Transformers series. In this story, Doom found out the Decepticons had built a dome in his neck of the woods. Not an enthusiast of being upstaged by robots, he tried to kick them out with his Doombots, but ended up allying with them to rule the devastated planet. When the Avengers and Autobots arrived, Doom broke Wolverine free from Decepticons' control and led him to destroy the Psychoprism, a mind-controlling tool, all while keeping his true motives hidden. With his blend of brains, power-hungry ambition, and an ego to match, Dr. Doom has cemented himself as one of the most intimidating villains out there.
Proceed.
Dr. Morocco. Dr. Morocco from Transformers Rescue Bots is a unique piece of work in the villain department. He's the kind of villain who's more about cunning plans and grabbing wealth than world domination. While his schemes might not be as grandiose as those of Starscream or Megatron, he was slick and sly and had a craftiness that put him in their league. Dr. Morocco was all about money, manipulating situations from the shadows to fill his pockets. Now, he was no stranger to playing with time. He has been around around since the 19th century, courtesy of his homemade fancy cellular regeneration chamber that kept him spry. By 1915, he was tinkering with a time machine, but things got a bit rocky when lightning struck, forcing him to ditch his machine while heading to Griffin Rock. Later, he was in on another time machine project, but it got shelved due to a lack of power. Morocco, though, wasn't done with his pet project. He snuck into the lab post-closure and caught the rescue bots arriving from the future. Seeing an opportunity, he tried to study them, even going as far as planning to dissect them until Optimus Prime and Bumblebee showed up and jeopardized his grand plans. Despite his string of not-so-successful schemes, Morocco's never-give-up attitude and resilience make him a villain you can't help but watch. His determination, regardless of his often sinister aims, adds a certain charm to his character in a villainous sort of way. Circuit Breaker. Circuit Breaker was an extraordinary villain in the Transformers universe who made her mark in Marvel Comics. She had a deep-rooted grudge against all robots, not caring if they were Autobots or Decepticons. This stemmed from an attack that left her unable to walk, for which she blamed the whole Transformer race. Before all this havoc, Circuit Breaker was Josie Beller, a tech genius working for BlackRock Enterprises. Fresh out of high school, she designed an advanced oil drilling platform. Despite her big brain and bigger achievements, Josie was down to earth and loyal to her boss, GB BlackRock. But everything changed when a Decepticon attack left her paralyzed. But Josie wasn't one to resign. She built a wearable tech suit that not only got her walking again, but also let her shoot electricity, mess with circuits, and even fly. Circuit Breaker's first cameo was in Secret Wars 2, number 3, a strategic move by Marvel to claim rights over her. So, while Marvel owns Circuit Breaker, they don't own her alter ego, Josie Beller. This has thrown a wrench in IDW's plans, the new Transformers comic folks, because they can't reprint those Marvel comics with Circuit Breaker without Marvel's say-so. Some collections even had to leave out the Circuit Breaker issues. Later in the Regeneration 1 series, Spike Witwicky stepped up as Circuit Smasher, a nod to Circuit Breaker.
Prime, I shall take great pride in having you for a trophy.
Chumley, you're one royal
Lord Chumley. Lord Chumley, the outlandish big game hunter from Transformers, really made a splash in the episode Prime Target. He wasn't just after any trophy. He set his sights on Optimus Prime himself, and to lure him, he kidnapped a bunch of Autobots to bait Prime. Now, Chumley's tactics were offbeat and straight up ridiculous. But surprisingly, despite the whole thing sounding bonkers, he actually pulled it off, despite the craziness of it all, and proved to be a real threat.
Appointment, Mr.
The name is Meltdown.
Meltdown. In Transformer Animated, the real human troublemaker was Prometheus Black, better known as Meltdown. He was a biotech genius with a serious grudge against robots, particularly those crafted by his nemesis, Isaac Sumdac. Initially, Prometheus was simply an average businessman, but things went south for him when one of his experiments backfired, and the Autobots had to step in. In the aftermath, he stumbled upon some Autobot motor fluid at the scene, and, in a stroke of twisted genius, mixed it with his steroids. Unaware of the consequence, he created an acid that could chew through Autobots' armor like a pudding. But fate had more in store for him. A lab mishap turned him into a walking, talking acid hazard. Understandably freaked about becoming a human acid puddle, he decided to blame tech as a whole for his woes. Black vowed revenge against all tech, setting his sights particularly on Bumblebee. Black went off the deep end and even tried to kill Sumdac. Although he failed in his initial attempt, he made 2 later appearances in the series, and each time he put the Autobots in a precarious position, rivaling the threat posed by any Decepticon. With his ability to melt metal with just a touch, Meltdown was not someone who could go unnoticed. He was a serious threat, forcing the Autobots to get really creative to keep from being turned into scrap metal by his acid attacks. Dr. Araville. Dr. Araville was the first major human ally of the Decepticons from the Transformers' first season. He was a classic evil genius with mysterious mechanical attachments and limbs that only served his own purpose. Dr. Araville, like every mad scientist, dreamt big of ruling the Earth, but his success rate in the world domination department wasn't exactly stellar. Megatron, aware of Araville's vision, offered him a deal: rule the world in exchange for his tech tech to mind control humans. They soon got cracking in the Ultimate Doom, where they dragged Cybertron into Earth's orbit and used their mind-controlled humans to gather energy from the chaos. But the thing is, Megatron never really saw Araville as anything more than a lackey. However, things didn't go as planned, and in Countdown of Extinction, Araville decided to team up with Starscream, a Decepticon member. But when Starscream went full villain and tried to blow up Earth, Araville had a change of heart and tried to stop the Decepticons, only to meet his tragic fate and turn into a cyborg. After all the mayhem, he was left on Cybertron, and what happened next to him is anyone's guess. Araville's story is a textbook case of a villain with big plans getting more than he bargained for. So, wrapping it up, the Transformers universe is more than Decepticons stirring trouble and chaos for our human-friendly Autobots. There are various villains outside of the Decepticons circle, some aligning their purpose with the Decepticons, while others taking matters into their own hands. From the shadowy Quintessons, creators turned foes of the Transformers, whose history intertwines deeply with the origin of the Transformers themselves, to the planet-consuming Unicron. Then there's the Vok from Beast Wars, mysterious aliens, and human adversaries like Dr. Morocco from Transformers Rescue Bots, showcasing the diverse threats that the Autobots and their allies face. These characters add layers of complexity and intrigue to the Transformers lore, far beyond the binary struggle of Autobots versus Decepticons. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.